Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump and ex-owner Elon Musk have broadcast a 2-hour conversation on X. Billed as an interview, the event was less of a grilling and more a fireside chat. And it got off to a bumpy start, with technical glitches causing it to be delayed by around 40 minutes. Musk blamed that on a coordinated cyber attack, of course he did, calling it an attempt to silence Donald Trump. But it wasn't long before Trump was given ample opportunity to attack his Democratic opponent, Kamala Harris.
She wants to have open borders, and now she's going like she's tough on the border. It's such a lie.
Yeah, this is simply not true. This is simply not true.
No, and everybody knows it's not true. It's a disgrace that she can say it.
No, I mean, obviously, what's happening sort of overnight is they're rewriting history and making Kamala sound like a moderate when in fact she is far left, like far left.
Worse than Bernie Sanders. She is considered more liberal by far than Bernie Sanders. She's a radical left lunatic, and if she's going to be our president, very quickly you're not going to have a country anymore. And she'll go back to all of the things that she believes in. She believes in defunding the police. She believes in no fracking, zero. Now all of a sudden she's saying, no, I really want to see fracking. If they got in, the day she got in, she'll end fracking. And by the way, if people didn't think that, the lunatics that really believe in that, they won't vote for her. You know, like the Palestinians and Israel. She is so anti-Israel, and she's bad for both. Biden actually did something that was impossible. Both sides hate him, both sides. That was a hard thing to do, unification.
Yeah, no. I mean, Netanyahu came to give a talk to a joint Senate and House sitting, and I was there, and Kamala stood him up. What does that say?
I think it's highly disrespectful. And I say, if you're a Jewish person or if you believe in Israel, if you're a person that, is very pro-Israel, if you vote for her, it's worse than Biden. And Biden was bad. But if you vote for her, you ought to have your head examined.
America first, except if it's Israel. America first. But if you don't go and listen to what Benjamin Netanyahu has to say, then I can't vote for you. But remember, America first. Now, that wasn't the only time immigration came up in the conversation. Musk has been actively exaggerating the impact of immigration on the UK online over the last 2 weeks. And elsewhere in that interview, Trump played up to that theme, promising the largest deportation program in US history if he's elected. In response to those and other comments, Kamala Harris's campaign spokesperson released this statement. Donald Trump's extremism and dangerous Project 2025 agenda is a feature, not a glitch of his campaign, which was on full display for those unlucky to listen in tonight during whatever that was on X.com. Trump's entire campaign is in service of people like Elon Musk and himself, self-obsessed rich guys who will sell out the middle class and who cannot run a live stream in the year 2024. Project 2025 is a proposal that came out of the Heritage Foundation. That's a conservative US think tank. It calls for the sacking of thousands of civil servants, expanding the power of the president, halting sales of the abortion pill, and a mass crackdown on immigration. And while Trump has distanced himself from Project 2025, its proponents include many of his former advisors. Over the course of the conversation, other political themes included relations with China and Russia, pharmaceutical licensing, and environmental politics. It was on that topic that the risks of nuclear power came up.
So, after Fukushima happened in Japan, people were asking me in California, are we worried about a nuclear cloud coming from Japan? I'm like, no, that's crazy. It's not even dangerous in Fukushima. I actually flew there and ate locally grown vegetables on TV to prove it. And I donated a solar water treatment, a solar powered system for a water treatment plant. And
but you haven't been feeling so well lately, and I'm worried about it.
No, but I mean,
I'm only kidding.
It's fine, It's like Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're like full cities again. So it's really not something that.
That's right.
So it's not as scary as people think, basically.
Nuclear holocaust, it's not so bad. I have low mental bandwidth right now. Like I say, I think I'm partly sick and it's partly the heat. But my goodness, you can hear the low resolution with which their thinking is working here. Huh? The chat was so long, there was even time for Elon Musk to pitch Donald Trump for a future job.
Well, I mean, I think it would be great to just have a government efficiency commission that takes a look at these things and just ensures that the taxpayer money, the taxpayers' hard-earned money, is spent in a good way. And I'd be happy to help out on such a commission.
I'd love
if it were formed.
Well, you're the greatest cutter. I mean, I look at what you do. You walk in and you just say, "You want to quit?" They go on strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike, and you say, "That's okay. You're all gone. You're all gone." So every one of you is gone, and you are the greatest. You would be very good. Oh, you would love it.
You are the greatest cutter. You will love. You are great. You will love it. Okay, you are the greatest cutter. By the way, this time next week, Donald Trump will be at some event. Here we are. A lot of people are saying it. I am the greatest cutter. Well, he said it was Elon Musk here, so remember that one when he pulls that out of his ass. That was possibly a reference to allegations that workers at Tesla, another of Musk's companies, although that's a publicly listed company, have previously been fired for attempting to organize at US sites. And it earned both men a lawsuit from the United Auto Workers Union, one of the largest in the US. It's filed federal labor charges against Trump and Musk for what it calls their illegal attempts to threaten and intimidate workers considering strike action. And UAW President Shawn Fain said this: "When we say Donald Trump is a scab, this is what we mean. When we say Trump stands against everything our union stands for, this is what we mean. Donald Trump will always side against workers standing up for themselves, and he will always side with billionaires like Elon Musk, who is contributing $45 million a month to a super PAC to get him elected. Both Trump and Musk want working class people to sit down and shut up, and they laugh about it openly. It's disgusting, illegal, and totally predictable from these two clowns." Tell us what you really think. Pretty, in a way, almost a Trumpian statement there. I quite like that. Disgusting, illegal, and totally predictable from these two clowns, certainly that. If you were hoping that the hard-hitting questions came at the end of that 2-hour interview, well, prepare to be disappointed, because here's how it ended.
And I just want to congratulate you. You've done an amazing job. You have definitely got a fertile mind. You know, we can talk. You and I can talk about rockets.
Well, it's kind of you to say. Thank you.
Well, tunnels. We can talk about tunnels and rockets and electric cars. So many things. And now you're into the AI, and that's going to be another beauty, I'll say. So it's an amazing thing you've done, Elon. It's an amazing thing, and I congratulate you.
I mean, thank you. And I just say here, here's to an exciting, inspiring future that people can look forward to and be optimistic and excited about what happens next. And that's the kind of future that I think you will bring as president, and that's why I endorse you.
Well, I appreciate that. That endorsement meant a lot to me. Not all endorsements mean that much, to be honest. Your endorsement meant a lot. And, we have a phrase, "Make America Great Again." It's pretty simple, but it really says that we want to make America great again. And we can do it. We can do it now. But if we were going to suffer another 4 years like we suffered for the last 4 years, I'm not sure the country can ever come back. That's how bad it is. It's so bad. We have to do a lot of things.
I think that's a very real risk.
Yeah, it's a big risk.
It's a very real risk.
Yeah.
Helena, they say this every time, don't they? Look, if we lose this time, there ain't no coming back from it. We had it in 2016, 2020. We're hearing it now in 2024. Firstly, on that final point, what did you make of the nature of this conversation in terms of how it was summed up by that very cordial sort of tone between Musk and Trump? Is this a sign that Trump is desperate? Is this a sign that actually he's somewhat surprised with the pick of Waltz as VP, the, you might say, unfair media fanfare surrounding Kamala Harris? We can talk about that more in a moment, but it's certainly real. Her polling has certainly improved. It's certainly much better than Joe Biden. Do you think this is a response to actually real concern on the part of the Republican candidate?
Oh, 100%, absolutely. It's a clear sign of weakness, not him coming back to Twitter in general, but also having this conversation too, not believing that he can just bleat into Truth Social, get his base ready, and then just win the election like he was going to do against Joe Biden. He even mentioned in the talk that they had, he keeps moaning really and truly about this, he's really whinging about, they got rid of Joe Biden, it's terrible, it's a coup, it's the first time they've ever done a coup. And I'm like, no, they just realized that the candidate wasn't going to win, so they changed it. It's not difficult to understand the strategy that's going on there. So he's clearly quite rattled, and it shows that he realizes that, he's dropping in the polls in terms of policy. Like, one of the attack lines from Tim Walz has been, yeah, Republicans are weird, but their weirdness is a function of the fact they care too much about culture or shit and don't have any actual real policy for anything. Like, they don't have a healthcare plan, they don't have anything. And the campaign is really kind of not hitting any kind of real demographics who are swing voters. You saw him try and speak to the black journalist. He wasn't getting involved or trying to win over people in that demographic. It was a complete failure. So his campaign is really on the rocks, and he can see this. Although I did watch listen to all of the conversation between Musk and Trump. I watched Hassan react to it, actually. And what really struck me about it? Just how boring these people are. Just how dull. Like, it was billed as being some kind of friendly chat. And believe me, it was friendly. But Elon is so kind of cucked out to Trump as a political figure that he spent the entire time just letting Trump do his stump speech, just repeating the talking points that he does on the campaign trail over and over and over again. A couple of interjections here and there, very kind of meekly from Elon, really and truly. In fact, to the point at which he almost kind of went back on his support of electric vehicles and the green transition that he says that he believes in, just because Trump said that he favored oil and gas because that was the cause of inflation, quote unquote, nothing to do with the problems with the pandemic or whatever. And so, he didn't really interject at all and just allowed Trump to use it as a campaigning platform. I mean, it's clear why, right? There's a reason why there was a mention of unions specifically in this conversation, or at least references to unions, even tangentially. Elon Musk admitted before, when he officially did this kind of Zoom meeting where he said, I am now endorsing the Republican candidate, and he specifically said the Democrats have been captured by the class action lawyers and the trade unions. Now, you can just tell from the way in which Elon Musk talks about this, that he is scared of the kind of action that Tesla had in places like Sweden, for example, where the Swedish workers had this really long, really drawn-out union dispute with the Tesla manufacturing plant over there, which was broad scale. There were sympathy strikes all across the country to try and ensure that bits and pieces of Tesla cars weren't delivered to the factory. And so Elon Musk is clearly really kind of put upon by trade unions in a way that he was kind of aloof towards before. Of course, every capitalist despises unions, but Elon is a bit of an idiot, so I don't think he really truly knew what was going on in these labor disputes when he was only doing business in the United States. Having to deal with that in a European country has made him really, really angry at the idea of trade unionism, and it's made him come out against what very little, at least some, trade union support that you get from the Democratic Party. What this does do, though, is that this open discussion about how unions are bad and how firing workers is good, that's even worse for the Trump campaign. The swing states that are going to matter in the election in November are Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania in the Rust Belt. What is the biggest thing in the Rust Belt? It's industrial workers. It's why it's called the Rust Belt. What's important about industrial jobs? These are the most heavily unionized sectors in the United States. They voted for Trump because Hillary Clinton didn't move away from the lack of industrial strategy, the lack of investment in these areas, and the lack of union support. That's why they voted for Trump, because he said he would bring the jobs back. Obviously, he didn't do that. And now that Trump is going on the offensive against their trade union bargaining rights, this is going to destroy the Trump campaign in the most important swing states. So not only is he weak in terms of the way in which the campaign has happened thus far, but his future campaigning platform, if this is where he's going to go, in line with Elon Musk, Tim Walz attacking people like J.D. Vance, people like for being venture capitalists, I don't think that's going to play well with the key demographic of voters that he needs to win over if he wants to win the election in November.
I think that's so important. Let's look at the two key messages here of Trump in 2016 when he wins. Make America great again. I'm going to fire loads of people, firing loads of people. So you've got economic renewal, protectionism, economic nationalism. Now he's saying you're the greatest cutter. America first, and he's talking incessantly about Israel. There's deep, deep contradictions here, and obviously Biden couldn't exploit that. Kamala Harris is going to struggle too, let's be honest. But Tim Walz, I think is a real shock to the system, and I think he's certainly a variable. And I have to say, there was a column by Janan Ganesh in the FT about a week ago, which I don't often say these words. I agreed with. I think that Trump embroiling himself with the Silicon Valley bros, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk now, has real political downsides for him. I think it makes him look weird. I think it normalizes what are ultimately quite weird things to the American electorate, weird ideas, weird stories, weird policies. And I think it really underscores a disconnect that he has with the country at large. Now, he's worked for decades to have that sense of connection with blue-collar Americans. They know him. He thinks he knows them. I think to an extent that's true. Blue-collar Republican voters are very much his people. You know, he knows them like a psychic looking into a crystal ball. He demonstrated that in 2016 with his comments, for instance, around immigration. Right from the start, he won that nomination. Nobody expected it for the Republican candidacy. He then wins the race for the White House. Though, of course, he loses the popular vote. That's absolutely the case. And it feels to me that he's going off course by talking to all these weird people about all these weird things, really distilled by the selection of J.D. Vance for vice president. You compare him to Waltz, it's like chalk and cheese. What are you doing? So who knows? This new alliance of Trump and Silicon Valley, maybe that's the thing that loses it for him. It certainly is coming with some real downsides. And some people say, well, you're criticizing these two men. One's worth $250 billion. Musk is worth around $220 billion. And of course, Trump is so successful. If they're stupid, what does that make you? Look, Donald Trump inherited several $100 million. By the way, I didn't pay a penny on inheritance tax at the start of a decades-long historic bull market in US property. It's hard not to make money under those circumstances. Dare I say, I think most people in Novara Media would have done better. Of course, I would say that. I'm sure Helena would have done much, much better.